Hi everyone, welcome to Billy Fitzgerald Golf, and tonight is all about the driver. From setup to ball position, even how high to tee your golf ball. We've got a lot to talk about, so let's get started. Let's get right into setup. So the first thing we have to understand is that we want to hit the ball on the upswing. There's two shots in golf that we hit up into. One's a putt, the other's a driver, because we want to launch the ball up. So to better understand that, again, I have my swing arc, and if I want to hit up on the golf ball, this is to show where ball position is. I want to place the ball where the club head is moving up. So it's moving up into the golf ball. So that would be at the front of my stance. So ball position will be somewhere pretty much off the inside of my left heel for you right-handed players, and opposite for left-handed players. Now, the other thing that I need to do is I need to make sure that I have enough tilt. Now, our shoulders are already tilted because the way we put your hands on the golf club, your trail arm is lower than your lead arm. So your right shoulder is going to be lower. Now, we have to make sure that your right hip is lower or your left hip is higher. Now, in order to do this and to make sure, we want to make sure that our spine angle is tilted as this stick is right in front of me. So to make sure that you're tilted, place the driver up in front of you, tilt, and then put the club back down. So I've got a little tilt. What that does, make sure that my left hip is higher than my right. So to ensure that I hit this ball on the upswing, again, I want to launch it in the air. These golf balls don't spin a lot. You know, back in the old days, 60s or 70s, the launch was very low, maybe 6-7 degrees, because the ball had a lot of spin on it. Well, times have changed and the ball doesn't spin that much, so we have to help it in the air just a little bit more. The other thing is tee height. So where I would say would be standard tee height, because the face on this driver is pretty deep. So the club has to be able to fit underneath the golf ball to launch it, so the tee has to be high enough. Now, the equator of the golf ball needs to line up with the leading edge, or the top edge of the driver. So when I sit it down, you can see the middle of the ball is about at the top edge of the driver. If it's too low, the driver face cannot fit underneath. It doesn't have enough room to make the ball launch into the air. If you're going to air, I would air a little bit higher. So again, to review, inside left heel, make your stance a little bit more than shoulder width apart. It's the biggest swing in your bag. It's got the biggest arc, the most speed, so we need a lot of stability underneath. Take your driver, lean it, make sure your left hip is up. Then when we can go down into it, and then again, make sure that it's at an appropriate tee height. So when I move into this golf ball, I'm almost feeling like I'm back and I'm tilting, and so I can launch the ball in the air. The second biggest mistake that I see with people struggling with the driver is they don't get turned enough. Or if they do turn, it's not turning correctly. So what I mean by that is, think of it like this. When I swing back, I've got to create enough room. I've got to spread out my chest cavity enough, my right hip back enough, because this is the longest club in my bag, to make sure that I have enough room for my arm and my whole driver to fit back down in front of me. So let's start with the setup. The ball position's forward, and I see this way too much. We get ready to go. Okay, the ball position's forward, so what do? We get our whole body starts to turn forward. My right shoulder's starting to go towards the golf ball. I'm already kind of leading into a bad turn. I've already, turned the other way a little bit. So just make sure that when you set up in the ball position, again, is forward, that your right shoulder, your right hip, or trail shoulder and hip almost feel like it's tucked behind your lead shoulder, your lead hip. So it's easier to make a turn. Now, as you turn, we need to make sure that your shoulders are turning 90 degrees around your spine angle. So when we turn, you need to feel your shoulders turn 90 degrees. That allows your hip to get out of the way. That will allow you to have maximum turn to get the golf club back down in front of you. Again, I see this way too much. We swing up and we turn this way. Your shoulders go too flat, your hip goes into the golf ball, you're too close to it, and we come over the top of it. So make sure that in your setup, your trail side is covered by your lee side. So if I were here, you wouldn't be able to see my trail side. So trail side is covered by my lead side, and my shoulders turn 90 degrees around my spine to give my hip socket maximum distance away from the golf ball to let my arms move right into the ball. Now let's talk about adding speed without sacrificing accuracy. Now the best way to do this, we all know, is to make sure that the face of the golf club stays on plane or on the swing arc with a square face. That's how the ball is ensured to go straight. So how do we make sure that we maintain the face on the swing arc? Well, it goes right back to our L to L drill. And why is that? Well, the club is going to pivot on the way back and on the way down. In other words, it's going to hinge, unhinge, and rehinge. Now when we get to the driver and we're talking about L to L, and you're talking about how it relates to the swing arc, as I swing the face back and it hinges, it drives up the plane line. As I swing back down, you can see the club is going to pivot again. And as it unhinges down the swing arc. Okay? Now, there's many ways to produce speed through the ground, through turn, through motion, but I can promise you one thing, that if the face gets off the arc and it gets open or behind, you're really going to have a lot of timing at the strike to be able to hit this ball consistent. So that's why we want to practice our L to L or pivoting in the golf club. Now, some people would say, well, what about lag? I need to have all this lag. Well, here's what lag does. If I get lag all the way here, see, I've got a bunch of lag, see, the face is behind me, but now if I'm dragging the handle, see, the face is slowing down. We want the face to be having the fastest part of the component in our swing. That's the only thing that matters, is that we have speed in the face of the club. And if I'm dragging the handle, it's slowing down. It's a heck of a lot slower than if I pivot. The fastest part in the swing is that when you pivot down, we start to gradually add speed right here, right on the arc. Now, if you get the face right here, now you can go ahead and turn through it. But if you turn too soon and you get the face caught behind you, again, now we've got a lot of catch up to do at the strike, or a lot of timing at the strike. So it would be an analogy like this. I wouldn't want to feel, if I was driving a race car, I wouldn't get it all the way to the wall and then turn the steering wheel. I would start turning the steering wheel gradually on the way down. That's why Nicholas said he couldn't release it too early. And what he was talking about is from the top of the swing, he's releasing the club so the face starts to get in front of you. Not throw your hands at it, drag the handle, and then try to catch the face up or try to turn the car at the wall. So our L to L really comes into play when we're thinking about speed and accuracy with the driver. So as you swing, it pivots back down, and now you can start to feel the speed is right in there. We've got to get the face back on the arc. So make some swings, get in your setup position. Again, that's why we have to have a big enough turn, so when we swing back down, we can pivot the club correctly. So make sure that you have a big enough turn here. So now when you pivot, we can pivot the face right back down into the golf ball. And we're using momentum into the ball instead of fighting momentum and having the face constantly behind us. So we'll make a few practice swings here. So we'll get our setup all the way behind the ball, and then feel how the face of the club goes down and through. So you can see the face is way out in front of me. It's not trapped. So get ready to go, get my setup position, got my tilt, get behind the ball, and pivot the face back down in front of me. So make sure you revisit your setup. We're getting behind the golf ball enough, and we're learning our L to L, or how to pivot the face in front of us. So we get the face back on the swing arc, get the face square. Once you get it there, you can add as much speed as you want, because the ball's not going to curve that much. I hope this helps, and I hope you have long drives this summer. Like and subscribe to my channel, Billy Fitzgerald Golf. Want to take a live lesson from me, or you have a question? Visit me at billyfitzgeraldgolf.com. And thanks for watching.